What's going on here, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are going to do Daredevil Reborn. And the reason why, because somebody had actually asked me to cover a later series of Daredevil. But the problem is, though, before we're able to actually jump into that series right there, we have to cover some content between this book and, of course, that book right there. And because we have been covering Daredevil on this channel for a good period of time, it makes sense for us to continue our coverage of the hero. And so we're going to cover Daredevil Reborn. Now, this miniseries was a way for Marvel to bring back Daredevil because after Shadowland, he just left. He literally left and went on to do his own thing. Now, he did hand over Hell's Kitchen, I think, to Black Panther. And so for a short period of time, Black Panther was protecting Hell's Kitchen. But of course, it came time to bring back Matt Murdock. And so we got this series right here, Daredevil Reborn, a 4-part miniseries that brings back Matt Murdock as Daredevil. It makes him realize that he should be a hero once again. And so let's cover Daredevil Reborn. So getting into the first chapter of Daredevil Reborn, we actually do pick up with Matt Murdock himself. And right now we see him just wandering around. Like he's traveling, but he has no idea where he's going. He's just going south, and that is it, to get far away from New York. Now, the reason why he is doing that is because what happened in Shadowland. Of course, it was a Daredevil event that Marvel did back in 2010. As a matter of fact, we covered the entire event. So matter of fact, go watch the full story of that video right there. Because honestly, it was a very interesting event. But either way, what happened in that event was Daredevil had joined the Hand, this evil ninja organization. Now, when he did that, of course, he basically was trying to turn that organization into something good. But of course, when he joined the Hand, they gave him the demon known as the Beast, which of course turned him evil. And so other heroes had to come into Hell's Kitchen, which he started calling it Shadowland, to hopefully stop Daredevil, which they did. But after that, he felt like because he caused so much harm to his part of town, but also to his friends, he just left. Now, right after he left, he did call up T'Challa, the Black Panther, and asked Black Panther to protect Hell's Kitchen while he is gone. Now, of course, again, this is Marvel trying to bring him back. And so we see Matt Murdock right now just traveling, and he does arrive at this random diner in the middle of nowhere in this small town. Now, when he gets there, of course, he orders food, he's trying to eat, but when the waitress walks up to him, of course, she gives him attitude. Now, there is a reason why. And the reason why, because she knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Because in Brian Michael Bendis' run that took place before Shadowland, word got out that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. And so the world still knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. And so while Matt Murdock is eating his food, you see the waitress go in the back to call up somebody. Now, we have no idea who she's calling up, but we know she's calling someone because Matt Murdock is Daredevil, or she knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Now, right after Matt Murdock leaves the diner, he does run into this kid. Now, this kid is also blind as well. And of course, you have Matt Murdock being able to build a bond with this kid because they're both blind. Now, as soon as you kind of have Matt Murdock talk to the kid, you do have Matt Murdock wonder, how did this kid end up blind? It wasn't like the kid was born blind. Something happened to him that made him become blind. And of course, you do have the kid tell Daredevil, hey, it was this gun that went off and basically it blinded me. But either way, this is Matt Murdock talking to a kid that he actually knows what the kid is going through. Now, this kid is going to be somewhat important for this storyline because this kid is going to be the main point of why Daredevil comes back. Now, that is the moment you do have a group of men just randomly appear. Now, here's the thing though. We can tell right off the bat that the leader of this group of men knows the kid. And apparently they're upset that Matt Murdock is talking to that kid. And so with that being said, you do have the group of men kind of tell Daredevil, you need to leave town. You need to get out of here because I feel like you took the wrong turn. Now, this should be a huge red flag for you right now. What is the problem with someone just walking into your town? Yes, he is a hero, a well-known hero, but what is the problem with somebody just walking into your town, leaving your town, but only stop to talk to a boy who is blind? And so, of course, I can tell you something is going on in this town. But you do have this group of men attack Matt Murdock. Now, usually Matt Murdock could protect himself. He knows how to fight. But he's not going to because he's tired of that life. He's tired of being Matt Murdock, but tired of being Daredevil. But he's just tired of going through life just fighting nonstop. And so he actually let this group of men just beat down on him, and which is really messed up. Now, that is the moment you have Matt Murdock actually be saved by the sheriff of this town, which is a great thing, you would think. Like, you would think, okay, the sheriff's here, he's going to save Matt Murdock, he's going to tell Matt Murdock what's happening in this town, and possibly Matt Murdock is going to save the town. But in reality, that doesn't happen. Yes, the sheriff does save Matt Murdock from the group of men, but that's really it. After that, you have the sheriff tell Matt Murdock to get out of here, which is kind of strange, right? Because again, if Matt Murdock is a well-known hero, like the world knows that he is Daredevil, if you're the sheriff of a town that's possibly having some trouble, wouldn't you ask for the hero's help? But instead, it's the sheriff saying, no, get out of here. I'm going to give you somewhere to rest for the time being, but once you're healed up and ready to go, leave my town. And so you have the sheriff basically take Matt Murdock to a random truck stop and tell him to sit on that bench, lay on that bench, go to sleep, but when you wake up, get out of here because this town is not welcoming visitors at the moment. And so, of course, you have the sheriff leave. Again, a bunch of red flags right there. Now, you actually do have Daredevil walking away. He's kind of like, okay, I rested enough. I'm going to leave this town because, again, this is Matt Murdock just trying to get away from the life of a hero. He's been through too much. He's tired of that life. And so you actually have him just walking away from the city. But that is the moment he realized something bad is happening in that town. And of course, it leads to Matt Murdock wanting to go back into that town to investigate to find out what is actually happening in that town. Now, remember when I said earlier, the red flags when it comes to the sheriff? Yeah, those were legit red flags. And the reason why I say that is because we actually do pick up with the sheriff talking to some of his police officers about Matt Murdock. And of course, you have one of the officers say that he was able to pull up information about Matt Murdock, which of course says, hey, Matt Murdock is Daredevil. And again, the sheriff, he's a bad guy. The red flags were correct because the sheriff says, okay, listen, he's a hero in our town. That's a no-go. Pick him up, put him down. Meaning that go find him and kill him. Because right now, we cannot have him in our town at all because it could lead to problems down the road for us. Now, you have to remember, when it comes to Daredevil, when he was basically blinded, his other senses were enhanced. And so he's able to hear better, smell better. And so thanks to his smell, he was able to find a pile of dead bodies. He's kind of like, okay, whoa, this junkyard has a pile of dead bodies. What is happening in this town? Now, that is the moment he does hear some police sirens, thinking that this is a good thing, because then he can tell the police that, hey, look what I found. I found a bunch of dead bodies. But we have to remember what the sheriff told the police officers earlier, to go out there and find Matt Murdock. If you do, pick him up and put him down, meaning that find him and kill him. As soon as you see him, blow his brains out, kill the dude. And so, of course, we come to find out these police officers are following that order. They want to basically kill Matt Murdock. And so as he thinks they're coming to him to help him out, they're trying to run him over. Now, luckily, he was able to dodge the car, but then when they got the car, they're like, okay, where did he go? I tried to hit him with the car and he disappeared. And of course, we know Matt Murdock had dodged that car, and now he's about to basically attack these police officers. And so getting into the second chapter of this storyline, of course, we actually do pick up with Matt Murdock actually defending himself and attacking these police officers that were sent by the sheriff to basically kill him. And so we do get a couple pages where you have these guys realizing that they have gone and messed up. Like they realize, oh yeah, they messed up and found out what happens when you messed up with Matt Murdock. And so of course you do have Matt Murdock beat these guys down, but he's not done with them just yet because he wants information from them. And so you have Matt Murdock take these guys and begin his good old interrogation process to hopefully get information out of them. Now, when these guys actually wake up, they realize that Matt Murdock is hanging them off a side of a building, or basically, if he drops them, they're gonna die. And so this is Matt Murdock trying to get information out of them. Now, of course, these cops are not gonna tell him anything at all. And the reason why, because they know that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. On top of that, they know that Matt Murdock is not going to kill them at all because he is a hero. Now, you do have Matt Murdock tell the cops that he knows that they're not actual cops. And the reason why he knows that is because when he found those dead bodies earlier, some of those dead bodies were wearing cop uniforms, which tells him, yeah, you're not good guys. You're actually bad guys. Something is going on in this town right now, and I want to figure it out. And so you better tell me right now, or you're going to drop to your death. But of course, the cops don't do that because, again, they know that Matt Murdock is not going to kill them because he is a hero. And so you have Matt Murdock leave, and of course, they're like, oh, great, we're stuck here now. Now, of course, we actually do pick back up with the sheriff who's right now talking to his assistant, whatever, and she's worried because she feels like Matt Murdock is working with the FBI. Now, you do have the sheriff tell the lady, listen, if Matt Murdock was working with the FBI, they'll be on us right now, and this whole operation will be closed down. And of course, our boss would be very, very angry with us. But we kind of find out that these guys are working for a character known as the Calavera. And I really hope I pronounced that correctly. But this is a character who's going to be the main bad guy of the book, really. Now, you do have the assistant tell the sheriff, hey, you got a phone call. And when the sheriff answered the call, it's Matt Murdock telling the sheriff, hey, listen, man, I got your guys. And then the sheriff knows his guys failed, and now he's even more angry at Matt Murdock. Now, we do jump back over to that boy that Matt Murdock met earlier. And the reason why, because remember, when Matt Murdock was talking to that boy, a group of men actually attacked Matt Murdock. But the leader of that group of men is actually a guy named Pike, who's right now sleeping with the boy's mother. Now, here is the big thing right here, because as soon as Pike leaves the house, of course, you do have the mom come out and tell her son, you're not allowed to leave the house ever again for two reasons. One, because he's blind, but two, because the boy could possibly go outside of town, look for help, and bring down this whole operation, which tells us the town has been completely taken over. Now, with all that being said, you do have the boy tell us that his dad was some kind of cop, possibly the sheriff, and his dad was trying to stop these guys from taking over the town. But of course, his dad was killed. And so that means some of the dead bodies, or one of the dead bodies that Matt Murdock found earlier, is this boy's actual father. But either way, though, it tells us, okay, this boy, his dad was a sheriff. That sheriff was killed off by this new fake sheriff. There's some kind of crime operation going on here in this town. The mom is scared to do anything, even protect her child, and so she sleeps with one of the men who basically runs this operation. Now, picking back up with the sheriff, you do have the sheriff actually go over to where his two cops were basically being held by Matt Murdock at. Now, of course, when he does arrive, he does ask them, did you tell Matt Murdock anything at all? And they're like, dude, no. Like, we're scared of him, but we're more scared of our actual boss and you. So no, we're not going to tell him anything, which of course they did not. Now, you do have the sheriff ask the guys, are you sure that Matt Murdock is long gone? And they're like, yeah, he's long gone. He's not here at all. In reality, he is. And so right now he's overhearing this conversation actually, which is a good thing for Matt Murdock. And the reason why, because Matt Murdock overhears that right now there's a truck coming into town. And this truck is part of the operation. And this truck is holding a lot of loot. Good loot. And so right now you kind of have Matt Murdock realize he needs to find that truck, stop that truck, and figure out what are they trying to bring into this town. Now, of course, you do have Matt Murdock being able to actually find that truck. And when he does, he has the two guys who are driving the truck pull over so that he can talk to them. Now, of course, when he does talk to them, they're kind of like, what's going on? Why are you here? Why are you stopping us? What's happening right now? And you have Matt Murdock say, listen, the town ahead of us, they're trying to stop you guys and possibly rob you guys. So what do you have in the back of your truck? And that is the moment you had these two guys open up the back of the truck to show a bunch of different kinds of weapons. Now, of course, we know that these weapons, of course, are going to that town because this truck is part of that operation. Now, Matt Murdock really doesn't know that if these two guys are actually part of the operation. Only thing he knows is that the sheriff wants these weapons on the truck for some strange reason. And so, of course, you have the two guys say, yeah, man, listen, these weapons, we're basically right now going to take them to a nearby location so that they can be destroyed. But of course, that is not true because as soon as Matt Murdock turns his back to them, they knock him out and throw him in the back of the truck. And of course, tell us that these two guys are, of course, working with the town people in that operation. Now, when those two guys who are driving the truck arrive into town, of course, they find the sheriff and all his men waiting for them. Now, of course, this is the moment you have the sheriff and all his men basically betray these two guys. Like, yes, these two guys are technically part of the same operation, which is Calavera, this mysterious boss who's running this operation. But of course, the guys or the boss wants to get rid of these two guys because there is a possibility because they did bring the guns to this town. They could have told someone on the way here. Now, of course, you do have the two guys say, no, we're on your side. We're not going to betray you. Matter of fact, we captured a guy who was trying to stop us on the road, which of course is Matt Murdock. And they tell the sheriff, by the way, we actually locked him up in the back of the truck. And you have the sheriff like, wait a second. You locked up a guy in the back of the truck. You did not even tie him down, but you threw him in the back of a truck full of weapons. And that is the moment you have all these bullets just flying out of the truck because Matt Murdock, of course, got his hand on a weapon and began to shoot up the truck. And so, of course, you have the sheriff and his men begin to shoot into the truck. Now, getting into the third chapter of this storyline, we actually do pick up with Matt Murdock being Matt Murdock. Well, really being Daredevil, but not wearing the actual Daredevil outfit. And what I mean by that is you have Matt Murdock right now just popping out of the truck and beginning the process of just beating down on these guys because they think there's more of them than him, that they'll be able to actually win this battle. But of course, They can't win this. It's Matt Murdock. He's a well-trained fighter. This dude has done a lot of different things over the years of being Daredevil. And so this is not going to be a fair fight for them at all. But of course, after a few more pages of them fighting in the warehouse, you have Matt Murdock being able to steal the truck. Remember, the truck is holding all the different weapons that their boss wants. And so, of course, they're like, oh my God, he has the truck. Get in your cars. We have to follow him now, because if we don't and we lose those weapons, we're all dead. Like, our boss has a very special kind of power, and that power can do some harm to us. So let's go after him with our cars. But of course, again, this is Matt Murdock. It doesn't matter if you're trying to do anything at all to him. He's going to find a way out of the situation. And so, of course, he does. You have Matt Murdock being able to still get away with the truck full of weapons. And of course, the sheriff, he's freaking out because his boss, Calavera, has a power that apparently is very dangerous and could possibly do some harm to these guys just because they had failed. Now, of course, we do see some time has passed by, and we actually do pick up with Matt Murdock driving that truck right into a lake. So those weapons, they're long gone. Now, of course, when he does turn around, that is the moment he does meet the main bad guy of this book, Calavera. And Calavera looks like your creepy old man with long hair, which we have seen so many times before. Now, when it comes to Calavera, he's like, hey, Matt Murdock, where's my weapons? And you have Matt tell him, oh, your weapons? Yeah, they're in the lake, because those weapons could hurt innocent people. So why in the world would you think that I will hold on to your weapons and then possibly give you the chance to get them back? No, they're at the bottom of the river or lake, whatever. Either way, they're in there. So go fetch it. Now, of course, you have Calavera like, okay, Mr. Smart Guy, you actually think that I'm scared of you. You think that I cannot cause you any kind of harm, but in reality, I can. And so you have Calavera actually ask Matt Murdock, what are you scared of? Now, of course, you have Matt Murdock say, I'm not scared of nothing. Also, you have Calavera say, you know what? All I have to do is look into your soul, to look into your heart. Now, Matt Murdock thinks that but him being blind protects him from the powers of Calavera. But of course, you have Calavera say, it doesn't matter if you're blind or not. You don't really have to look into my eyes. I have to look into your eyes. And that is the moment you have Calavera show Matt Murdock his worst fears. Now, we have no idea what those fears are, but of course, you have Calavera say, see, I told you so. My powers work no matter what. But either way, you did have Calavera tell Matt Murdock, you have walked a path, a righteous one, a good one. But of course, the path you chose is still wrong. The path you chose is not good. But either way, you thought you could actually stop me. You thought you had the chance to actually defeat me, but you can't. And so that is the moment. You have Calavera actually shoot Matt Murdock right in the head. And it does look like the bullet grazed his head instead of actually going into his head. But either way, it does affect Matt Murdock, and he does drop off the cliff into the lake. And so we're left to believe that Matt Murdock is dead. But of course, there's still one more chapter we have to cover. And of course, we do get into the 4th chapter of this book, where of course we actually do pick up with Matt Murdock right now getting out of the lake to show us that he survived the bullet wound or whatever that was shot out of that gun, but he survived. And so you have Matt Murdock just crawl out of the lake. Now, of course, this is technically going to lead into Matt Murdock realizing he needs to be Daredevil again. He needs to be a hero again. And you see what I mean, because you have Matt Murdock actually go to the home of the little boy, where of course the boy's able to patch him up and make Matt Murdock feel better. Now, right after that, Matt Murdock is talking about just leaving town, just going away. But of course, you have the boy tell us that he knows that Matt Murdock is a hero. Now, he doesn't know what kind of hero Matt Murdock is. Like, he has no idea Matt Murdock is actually Daredevil, but the kid knows, yeah, I heard about you. Apparently, you're some big time hero. Okay, listen, you have to help us. Now, of course, Matt Murdock's kind of like, dude, I just got shot at. Fell in the lake. I bled all over your bathroom in your house. Like, no, I'm done. I give up. I did the most I could do. I'm out of here. But of course, you have the kid say, listen, my dad died, and we knew that earlier. His dad was the original sheriff of this town, and his dad tried to shut everything down when it came to this crime operation, but of course his father failed. And with his father failing, it's like my dad died. Try to protect this town. And then I went blind because one of those guys shot a gun, and of course it blinded me. And so with that, I'm blind, my dad is gone, my mom is now banging the man who basically possibly killed my dad. Like, all of this mess is happening in my town, and we don't have a hero nearby who just swings in and saves the day, because most of the heroes are in big towns like New York or Miami or Houston, wherever, but they're not here in the smaller towns out in the middle of nowhere. We don't have a hero. No one else is going to come and save us. And so that right there makes Matt Murdock realize, dang, this kid is right. I have to be Daredevil again. And so you have Matt Murdock tell the kid, don't worry, I'm going to handle this. And of course, this is where you have the book kind of wind down. And what I mean by that is you basically pick up with Matt Murdock going after Calavera, where of course, when he does get there, Calavera is kind of torturing the different men that had failed this operation, especially the sheriff, because the sheriff was the one in charge of this operation. But of course, you have Matt Murdock actually go back over to where Calavera and those guys are at, and you have Matt Murdock just go around and begin the process of just beating down all of these guys left and right. It's literally a huge beatdown. Now, you do have Calavera try to use his powers again on Matt Murdock as a way to stop him. Like, listen, I'm going to keep showing you your worst fears over and over again. Now, one of the fears he tries to show Matt Murdock is when Matt Murdock had killed Bullseye back in Shadowland, because basically Matt Murdock had killed somebody. That was huge. That was very huge. But either way, you have Matt Murdock just take that fear, put it aside, and say, no, I am no longer scared of you and your powers. And so with that, you have Matt Murdock being able to defeat all the guys in Calavera and being able to shut down this crime operation. And right after that, we do see the FBI do arrive to help arrest all of these different guys. Now, of course, when they get there, we come to find out the young boy we saw earlier had told the FBI, yeah, by the way, some hero came in town and basically saved the day. Now, of course, you had the FBI ask the kid, okay, do you know who that hero was? The kid said no. Also, do you know, like, by the way he talked, where he could possibly come? And the kid still said no, because again, the kid is trying to protect the identity of Matt Murdock and Daredevil. But either way, the FBI was able to arrest these guys and of course lock these guys up for the crimes that they have committed. But to go ahead and close on this book, we actually do see Matt Murdock arriving back to, well, Hell's Kitchen. And matter of fact, he goes into the apartment of Foggy Nelson. Now, this is huge because these two characters have not seen each other ever since the ending of Shadowland. And so this is Matt Murdock saying, hey, Foggy, how's it going? I'm back. How you been? By the way, listen, you and I, we're partners again. Let's get back to work. I'm going to be Daredevil once again. But on top of that, you and I, we're partners, and we're going to open up a new law firm and continue our careers as lawyers. And that is the end of Daredevil Reborn. So this is Daredevil coming back to be Daredevil once again after Shadowland. This was the bridge book that leads into the next couple series that we're going to cover in the near future. But with that being said, I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. And if you do, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.